All right, now you spoke with AJ's dad very recently, so we've all seen the visits that are now very well publicized on social media. But walk us through what his plan is and what you've heard straight from his father.
Yeah, it's really interesting because obviously we've heard all kinds of speculation all summer about this school is the lead or this school is the team to beat. He transfers to Utah Prep, so BYU is heavy in the discussion. Certainly, they're in the mix as one of his finalists. But speaking with AJ's father, he made it pretty clear that he's entering this process open to everyone and that everyone has a clean slate and equal footing. Now, I know everyone kind of rolls their eyes when they hear that, but again, we're talking straight from the horse's mouth here. So we have to kind of take dad at his word on this. So with Ace's dad. So it's going to be interesting. He starts the visits off next week at Kansas State, and then he goes to Kansas. And then after that, he's going to go to North Carolina, Alabama, Baylor, and BYU is the last visit in October. He's already been to Auburn. But now here's the thing. He's not going to be deciding until at least mid-February or so. So not only are we going to see official visits, I think there's a good chance that we could see Ace and AJ, dad and son, take some visits during the season to see teams play on unofficial visits if at all possible. Now, obviously, AJ is going to have a busy schedule himself at Utah Prep, but when they can find a chance to get in and see some things, they're going to try and take some live look-ins on it. It's really an interesting deal. Like I said, they're going out of their way to say that things are on equal footing. And what's interesting here is that schools, even though they've made this top seven, are really just now being able to start their relationship with AJ. His
Mm.
father has handled the recruiting process to him up to the point. And he said, I don't want him to have to deal with 70 or 80 coaches. I wanted to get down to the 6 or 7 that are really legitimate factors in it. And now he can start building those relationships with them. So the amount of direct contact that any coach has had with AJ has been fairly limited. So that does really put a lot of importance on these visits to establish a comfort level, to make a guy believe. And then when you start playing in the season, well, what you said on the visit better show how you play.
All right, boss. Now you have and will continue to handle all of the reporting on AJ's recruitment, but I want to add some context in terms of just what I'm hearing behind the scenes, not from the family. You have the sourced reporting on that. I think the perception is that BYU is definitely firmly in the mix here. There's a couple of reasons for that. This is going to be NIL is going to be a factor in this recruitment. BYU is believed to have significant resources to be able to compete in that way. AJ has already made the move to transfer to a high school in Utah. So we assume for someone who's not planning on spending more than a year in college that he's not averse to staying an extra year to go to college in the state of Utah. So BYU certainly seems to me to have a very legitimate chance. You also mentioned 7 schools there, 5 of which are Nike or Jordan Brand by extension schools, 1 Adidas school in Kansas, and an Under Armour school in Under Armour. AJ is, please correct me if I am wrong here, Bossy, but he is currently a Nike sponsored and has a Nike NIL deal. That deal is set to expire before his freshman year in college would begin. So presumably he could sign with anyone if it coincided with the school he would choose for next year. I think that is another important factor to watch. But again, the thing for me is, aside from all the business considerations, which are now just a reality of the marketplace for top prospects like AJ, I think there's also got to be an idea of not just about monetization of the next year, but monetization of the next decade. Like, who puts you in the best position to develop both on and off the court, to handle everything you're going to handle in the NBA, to put yourself in position to be the number 1 pick in the draft? Not just AJ, but I think too many young people are only worried about where's the biggest NIL deal right now, instead of what place puts me in the best position to succeed long term. Too many people thinking about it in terms of the next 10 months instead of the next 10 years. Again, that I want to be very clear. I'm not speaking specifically about AJ when I say that. I'm just saying that all the top prospects, because NIL is no longer this thing that we don't talk about, it's an obvious consideration in this process. I think that all these kids who have options and who are going to drive big NIL type deals also need to be giving some consideration to what is the best place for me over the course of the next decade. But is it fair to assume that NIL and all those things are obviously sneaker deals and stuff like that are all going to be part of the consideration for AJ?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're a non-Nike shoe company and you have a chance at this kid who's putting himself in position to presumably the number one draft pick in 2026 and is very marketable, he's got a lot of personality, engaging guy, really good kid. Why would you not take a swing at things if there's an opportunity to be so? I believe his Nike deal ends in June, if I've got that correct. So that all factors in. And like you say, NIL matters not only in this recruitment and recruitment, but I think what people need to understand is this isn't just a matter of just to throw numbers out there. If one program offers, say, $2 million, another offers $2,001,000, he's not going to the one that's $2,001,000. There's still going to be a very much factor of fit about showing, hey, here's our vision for you while you've got on campus, and then when they watch the games, backing that up. Because as you say, I think AJ and his family have a clear understanding of what's on the line potentially down the road. As much money as you can get now for AJ or any other prospect is certainly a nice thing, but you don't want that to impact potential much bigger dollars down the road. If you think you're going to be a number one draft pick, you want to make sure that you get somewhere where you can be that number one draft pick and you cannot mess that up, because fall a couple spots in the draft, that makes a several $1,000,000 difference in how much money you earn on that first contract. So, a couple $100,000 extra dollars for 1 year compared to possibly costing several $1,000,000 over the next 4 or 5 has certainly got to be a consideration for anybody.
Yeah, I just looked this up. Here's the numbers. If you're the number one pick in the draft, it's 12.6 million at this past year. If you're the number 4 pick in the draft, it's 9.1 million. So for these kids worried about, and again, not specific to any one player, for these kids worried about where's the better NIL deal, the bigger money is 10 months down the road. So you have to have that long-term perspective. It's good to hear based on your reporting that they certainly do. Ebos, as always, thank you for your expertise. Everybody can find more of Ebos's reporting over at 247sports.com. As we said, we've got everything there, all the recruiting rankings, transfer portal coverage. You can find us 247sports.com. And then, of course, here on the 24/7 Sports channel for all of the shows, it is college football season, and our guys have you covered there. And, of course, if you've been watching, we've got all the live commitments for you here in both college basketball and football here on the 24/7 Sports channel. Until next week, thanks as always for watching.